Hi, my name's Maggie Ray and I'm your rejuvenation specialist. So if you want to know how to turn up the joy in your relationship and turn down the conflict or the boredom or the numbness, listen up, because we've got some quick questions that are going to help you understand right away how you can turn up your joy and decrease the disconnect that could be happening in your relationship. The very first thing that we want to understand is life is where we put our attention. I read that many years ago in Richard Bach's book, Illusions, and I thought, wow, that's really powerful. Let me say it again. Life is where I put my attention. Now imagine that you have $100 worth of energy and you spend it in your attention. Where do you spend that energy in your life? Where do you invest the energy in your life? Sometimes you probably got the taps on full, and sometimes it's just dribbling out. But I want you to think about that as we go through the questions that are going to help you to turn up that joy in the relationship in your life. And by the way, if you haven't downloaded the handout, you can certainly do that here, right now, even as I speak, and follow along. So the first question in where am I spending the energy and attention in my life is, how much of it do I spend on conflict? You know, conflict is often the area where our energy becomes most intense. It's often the area when we were children where our parents said, "Look at me when I'm talking to you." And we shuddered like this and tried to look away. But that was intense energy. By the way, parents, that's often why children are acting out, because they will get our attention one way or the other. And we tend to carry that over into our relationships, our most intimate relationships, and still find subconsciously that we want that attention, that intense attention. So we're acting out and the conflict is coming out for that. So just notice, how much of attention do you give to conflict? How much energy do you spend on it? And how much energy do you spend on avoiding conflict in your life? Because really, folks, lots of times, I know I spend a lot of energy going over things in my mind, back and forth, but I don't say them. So there's not an outward conflict, but the conflict is happening in here. And then that conflict is avoidance of conflict. So think about where you're placing your thoughts as well as you're assessing how much energy you are giving to each of these particular points we're making. How much of your thought energy do you give to the conflict in your life? Now the second question that's also going to be creating a very tumultuous relationship is, how much of your energy do you invest in correcting your partner or your child or whoever it is you're wanting to improve the joy in that relationship? How much time do you spend correcting? I learned this one from a parent I had in a class one time. She said, you know, now I understand why none of that other parenting stuff works with Jeremy. She says, I thought that correcting was my job as a parent. And I thought that correcting was more important than connecting. So think about that. If you spend more time correcting than connecting, just set the intention right now to shift that around, that you want to connect more. And then perhaps they'll want to hear your opinion so that you can get your correction in there. So the third question is, how much energy do you spend giving directives? Do you know, when we live with people day to day, we tend to get into this habit of, you know, where'd you put the keys, and don't forget to get the mail, and pick up this and pick up that, and especially children, we're giving them directives, we're giving our spouse directives. It's a one-way stream of conversation. Well, it's not a conversation, it's just a one-way stream of orders coming at us. And pretty soon, what happens? We go, don't want to hear that, we just tune them right out. So if you find that that's been happening, the key to this one is, once again, connecting. So instead of just sending those orders out, and they learn to tune it out, if you see that you want their attention, maybe you want them to help you with something, maybe it's making dinner, and you really need that kind of help. What you want to do is go and connect with them first. Find out where they're at, what they're doing. And then, rather than sending a directive, you need to get in there and help me, or get in there and do the dishes, make it an invitation as much as you can. Now, sometimes you need to send directives, but I guarantee if you spend more time connecting and then redirecting by way of invitation, you're going to start to see a lot more cooperation and harmony happening in your home. Now the next question, this is where the clouds start to part and the sun starts to come out and your relationship starts to get a lot better. And this question is, how much energy do you give to appreciating and acknowledging what's working in your life? Most of us spend our life focusing on what's not working, why I'm not good enough, why there isn't enough, and all of that. But when we step back and start to feel appreciation for that which is working, and appreciation for myself first. So many of us look for that appreciation, that approval from someone out there. And we think we're not good enough until we get it from out there. Well, start appreciating yourself. Start really acknowledging, oh right, even the little things. I did get up on time this morning. Okay, I got myself to the toaster and managed to get that toast in there. Whatever it is, appreciate yourself. And then look for and specifically appreciate things that other people are doing. And this is really important. In my 9 Ways course that I teach, there's a whole section on really learning how to encourage cooperation and how to encourage people to take part in their life and develop new skills. And this has a lot to do with learning to appreciate what is working. So perhaps you've come in the door and there's a lot of mess all over the place, or your office is a mess, but you notice that your partner there managed to get one section cleared off completely. That's where you start to appreciate, wow, this section right here is so clear, clutter-free, it's exactly where I want to sit down. I really appreciate that you got this section cleared off for me. And then don't say, and the rest of it is like hell in here, but just leave it at that. And you'll find that people notice that. You can tell them, that was very thoughtful. When you start pointing out what's working and what you appreciate and the qualities that that person is showing, you're going to find more of that happening. So once you start with that, I would suggest that the next question is to ask yourself, when I'm investing my energy, how much energy do I invest in seeking out somebody's opinion? Now sometimes I'll talk with groups and they'll say, well, what do you mean? I never stop you from giving your opinion. That's not the same as seeking out and truly wanting to know, wanting to learn, What is your opinion on this, on that? How are you feeling about this? That's the next question. So start to take time in your day to really be curious. And it doesn't have to be extra time. It could be time that you would spend driving anyway. And just decide, you know, this relationship really is a priority to me, so I'm going to start seeking out their opinion. And then the next question, you might have guessed it, is once you've sought out their opinion, how much energy and attention do you give to listening to their opinion? Really listening to it without trying to correct it, without trying to fix it. You know, this is one of the biggest things that happens with men and women especially. Men are so intent on wanting to fix the situation that when their partner starts to talk about the things that have been bothering them, or they're giving their opinion on it, they just want to jump in and fix it right then and there. Well, you know what the truth is? If I have been stewing over something, or I've had a problem all my life, and I'm still working on it, what I really want is just somebody to listen. I don't want somebody to jump in and tell me I could have fixed that years ago just like that, or that I could fix this. Things are complicated. We have emotions involved. So when you're listening, you're also listening for emotions. If you really want to improve your relationship, start to feel and sense what's the emotion behind it. And then you can just guess at what that emotion is. Man, that sounds like you were kind of disappointed in that when the promotion didn't go through that you wanted. And then zip it. Be quiet and listen. Set your intention to listen for the content, for the opinions, and also for the emotions. And you are well on your way to a sunny relationship. And also you're well on your way to improving the next point of assessment on this scale, this barometric pressure. And that is, how much time do you spend in meaningful conversation? Not gossip, but really meaningful conversation, deep conversation. Deep conversation has the ability to heal the world. I love the story that Lynn McTaggart quotes in her book, The Bond. She talks about a gang, a couple of warring gangs in California. And these gangs had lived in terror and horror and warring with each other for the entire lifetime of many of the people who were in the gangs. And what they did was they went in and they helped these gangs to really understand what it is to be in deep conversation, to really be able to speak what they feel without having to have anybody win or lose the argument. And when these people learned to listen, first just with each other, then they could listen to the other gang members. And they turned that community from a warring community to a place where they said, hey, this is our sacred territory, this is our sacred ground. And they started working together to create a cooperative and flourishing community. Now, if gangs that have been warring from the time that they were born can do that, you can do that in your relationship. Deep listening. Listen without the intent or even the urge to be the one who is correct, to win. Listen to feelings. You've already been doing that if you've been following along and raising the assessment as we've been talking about them. And the last point that on our barometric pressure is how much attention and energy do you give to having fun in your relationship? Remember, that's kind of probably why you got into this relationship in the first place. It used to be a lot of fun. Well, what can you do to have more fun? What can you do to set aside the fighting and the squabbling and what's going on and just do something that takes you out of the zone you found yourself in, back into the fun zone? It might be something that stretches your comfort zone, because comfort zones really aren't very comfortable for the most part. They kind of keep us in a very small zone, and if we're not stretching out of the comfort zone, which is where we kind of feel like we're living, it's living on the edge, stretching out of our comfort zone, doing something different once in a while, our comfort zone can feel like it's shrinking and everything is imploding upon us. And that's how our relationship can feel. Fun can blast you out of that and take you to a whole new level. So those are the questions about where are you spending your energy and attention in your relationship. If you begin to shift that energy and attention, you're going to see your relationship move from conflict and boredom to joy and freedom and fun. There is one more question, though, that I really want to ask you about how you spend your energy. And that doesn't have anything to do with how you spend your energy with the person in question that you're trying to increase your relationship with. That has to do with you. How much energy and attention do you spend being true to yourself, honoring and delighting your spirit, doing what you really love to do? Or do you spend all your time saying, oh, these kids, I got so many things to do, I can't do so many pressures, I don't have time to do anything for myself? Do you know what? I can guarantee you, if you go and talk to the person you want to increase your relationship with, they're not really appreciating your, oh, I'm doing all this stuff for you and so I don't have time for myself. They want to see you as you are, enjoying life. That means way more to them than it means to have you doing all these things with this heavy weight upon your shoulders. I remember one time when I was raising my children, and I would get into these very, oh, this is way too much, I'm overburdened kind of state. And I would head off into the mountains behind me. And I would renew my spirit. That's where I renewed my spirit. And when I came back, then we would carry on with our family life. And one night at the dinner table, as we were saying our grace, my son said, and thank you, God, for the mountains and the hills, because Mom always comes back in a better mood. So that's the question. How much time do you spend honoring you and your spirit? And there's one more thing I want to share with you. I know that this isn't easy. We have deep, deep patterns. We're used to conflict sometimes. And even though we don't like it, it still feels like it's our comfort zone. It still feels like that's the most intense way that we can connect with someone else. And just saying, hey, I'm going to be aware of this and change it is often not enough. Because it's really settled into your bones. It's in the cells of your body. This is how I react at certain times. This is how I protect myself. I can't let somebody in. I have to be right in order to be important. And I have to be important Of course, we don't think those things consciously, but those are the subconscious things that are underlying our behavior, and they're caught and trapped in our bodies. Sometimes people think, well, just think differently. Just don't think about it and it won't be bothering you at all. And I think, oh yeah, right, well that's like telling me just to grow a few more inches and I'll enjoy life more. Because not thinking about something that is emotionally disturbing to me is very difficult to do. And I'll tell you why. It's because emotions are the most powerful force in the universe, according to the ancients. And emotions are actually reactions in the body. And most of us learn to push those emotions down and try to hold them down there and then readjust our thoughts and readjust our life, and we're swimming on the surface of the water trying to fix everything out there so that we can be okay in here. Did you ever notice that it never really works? You might be able to fix something for a little while, but that old pattern could just come back again. And so that's where I would invite you to give me a call. My specialty is in helping you release the emotion through the body by being able to feel it. So if you find that as you shift your attention, that there's a pattern that keeps coming up, or there's something you're unable to shift, please don't beat yourself up. Treat yourself with understanding and recognize that there is help. Give me a call and I will offer you a free consultation, and we'll see if there's a way that we can work together, because I've worked with lots of people to let go of patterns. Patterns where suddenly rage came up and kept interfering with every single one of their relationships. Patterns where irritability and angst was the dominating factor that had people stuck. And I have helped them go into those patterns, release them from where they came. That's what the hypnotherapy is all about. We can follow that pattern just like a strand of Christmas tree lights all the way back and unplug it by following the emotion. My phone number is here right below. There's also that button for you to connect with the handouts, and I wish you the very best. Love to talk to you soon. Thanks for your time.